Access Northeast, that Spectris project. Both of them provide clear benefits to the region. The projects are needed from our perspectives in Algonquin and serve their power customers or serves our power customers. We're very proud of the fact currently over half the gas that gas-fired generators burn. This is just a quick snapshot. In the last couple months, we've announced signing up 751,000 decatherms a day to be able to serve this region at right. That's not even going on today. You have the highest energy prices in the nation because you don't have access many times. That lists some of the LDCs. This is our power service. We have an open season now. All of the remaining capacity on NED market is available for power generators. We've received significant interest in it. We're negotiating with the EDCs and the power approach. There is no one approach that's going to solve this problem. You're losing, the ISO New England is estimated you're going to lose 8,300 megawatts of the facts on what the ISO New England has received for wind and gas-fired generation, what bids they received. But here's the deal. Anywhere you got a wind or a solar facility, you have a gas-fired facility backing it up. And my colleagues here mentioned that. When the wind doesn't blow, build the necessary facilities, which you should be building. It's a necessary and flexible backup source, and it's not an either-or situation. So we believe in large-scale renewables. We believe in enhanced efficiency, demand efficiency programs. And by the way, New England's the leader in the nation based on, so you got some challenges there. And then we also believe in expanding natural gas pipeline capacity into the region. You can see this later, but basically it's just a chart that was put out by Black & Veatch based on ISO New England's information. The bottom line is, with all the sources that you have available to you, this says you still need pipeline capacity and need retirements. This is resources by type. Natural gas, wind, other renewables, pump storage, and hydro. In type of generation, gas is the one the ISO New England turns to. This is also right out of the ISO New England's report. Just it's hard to read, but basically, in 2014, gas generated 44% of the power in New England. All 6 states operate together. The ISO New England, when they go to meet your guys' requirements, if you guys are turn lights on and the load goes up for you, that sets the pricing for the other generators. So if you're a fuel oil generator, you don't want to see gas come in, because even though you're really, really high in cost. So this is straight out of ISO New England. In 2000 to 2014, oil went from 22% down to 1%, coal 18 down to 5, gas went from 15 to 44, and keep in mind that 44 should be a lot higher, because gas-fired generators do not run when it gets really cold, because there's not capacity. So that number is going to be higher. So for those folks that say, hey, we're getting too dependent on natural gas, but the point is, last year, coal and oil shot back up. I'm going to show you some of their statistics on emissions, because you have a steady decline of emissions until you have to count. So if gas is high cost, 70% of the time that drives the electricity prices. And that's important to know. This is a chart where natural gas typically determines the price for wholesale electricity. So this is real-time electricity prices in the whatever color that is, gold. And this is natural gas prices. Natural gas drives your power costs. By lowering natural gas prices, which is what our project is totally designed to do, you're going to look at gasoline. Basically what this is saying to you is natural gas is by far the lowest cost product that you can burn and to generate your power. Shut off all the lights you want, but whatever you want to fire up and turn on, when you look at your commodities to burn, whether it's nuclear, hydroelectricity, and by the way, Canadian hydroelectricity, I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a wonderful idea. It's renewable in my opinion, it's abundant. The only challenge to importing Canadian hydroelectricity is you got to run that overhead transmission line through the state of Maine, the state of Vermont, the state of New Hampshire. It certainly could be done if I was a homeowner, I'd be fine with the overhead transmission line. Some people don't like any infrastructure. I think Cape Wind, they shut that down. Natural gas pipelines, they shut that down. Somebody's not going to like energy infrastructure. You may like wind and solar, but you may hate overhead transmission. You may like overhead transmission, but you hate gas pipelines. We understand that any energy infrastructure is going to face opposition. New England has reverted to relying on inefficient coal and oil-fired, and when that happens, it drives up your electricity costs and increases emissions, and you need it to back up the intermittent renewable energy. And that basically also stifles your economic growth. So in closing, I know I've talked a long time. I'm available to answer any question to the best of my ability. Additional natural gas pipeline capacity provides you with economic growth, energy cost savings, cleaner energy source than fuel, oil, or coal. Now keep in mind, this is a fossil fuel. And fracking, if done incorrectly, causes a lot of problems. Absolutely, it does. But it's the cleanest burning fossil fuel. So if you have limited options, that's what ISO New England's facing. They said, we don't have any other options. We're going to pay somebody to store a bunch of fuel oil, and we're going to run trucks on the ground every day to fill up that fuel oil. The safest mode of transportation in the United States of America are pipelines. No ifs, ands, or buts. Railroad cars, hauling semis, they're less safe. We happen to feel like we're delivering a great product, and we're very proud of it. And it's also the foundation for renewable growth and sustainability, and it's a strategic domestic energy source.
I'll take questions from the audience, and I'll read them to the panelists. So if you guys want to shoot back at each other, then take this opportunity. Any questions you have for each other?
Curtis, you alluded to 750 decatherms of commitments? 750,000, I'm sorry. Is that in addition to the 550 already announced, or does that include the 550?
That is the 551,000, that's NED market. So they're two separate paths. They have separate customers. It just so happens that the 9 LDCs that are contracting on NED market are contracting on NED supply, and they say we want to control it all the way back to the wellhead. So they're tapping into about, I think, 13, 14 different producers, and it is the most prolific 2 counties in Marcellus. A piece of me, so there's this gentleman here, I see him about every 2 weeks. I open up any question you have. I'll do my best to answer your question. I'm happy to do my best.
All right, a lot of people have submitted some questions, and I'll do my best to read your handwriting. New York has EIA.gov. How do you explain this?
New York doesn't have plenty of pipeline capacity. The projects that you're looking at on the board, Constitution Pipeline and the NED project, they're not there yet. They're not tapping into the Marcellus gas. It's just like today in New England. There's Marcellus gas that flows into New England, but not at the sufficient level. So when it gets constrained, prices go up. And you know, LDCs that have firm capacity, they don't see those price spikes. It's the marketers or it's the power generators decide to buy on an interruptible basis. They see those price spikes and they're significant.
I'd like to address this issue of does New England have the most expensive electricity in the country or not, because it's often parsed in so many different ways, and you can make the case either way depending on what statistics you choose to cite. Now, the Energy Information Agency, which is a pretty reliable arbiter of this stuff, creates a number called the average all-in cost on an electric bill. So your electric bill has so many cents per kilowatt hour for just the pure power. It might even be sold to you by someone other than your utility. Then it has so many fractions of a cent demands of the southern states. When you talk about cost of electricity per income, it's lower in New England because we're a very comparative.
And one thing I did want to mention, because I was curious myself, New England burns 81% of the nation's fuel oil. Household percentages, yeah, that's 81% in New England. And households in New England, I think it's 40% is the figure, the national average is 5%. You can do that. You can continue to do that all you want. I want to give you an example of a benefit to Liberty Utilities. Liberty Utilities is one of our 9 LDC customers. They signed up for 115,000 decatherm. And if it's economically viable to serve that market, that's how LDCs get their service territory. If it's not economically viable, they won't. If it's not economically viable, they converted from propane to basically portable natural gas. They truck it in. Yes. They truck it in, drop it off, connect it to the hospital, and when it runs low, they bring in another truck. So that's how you serve remote areas that don't have the enough people to justify a distribution system. But now that you have a pipeline running through, Liberty Utilities is expanding their distribution system. They're converting the town of Keene to natural gas. Anywhere you have gas, you burn gas. People just don't.
The energy policy of 2005 opened the door for hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, creating a new supply and market for natural gas. This process fractures rocks by injecting a pressurized mixture of water, sand, and chemicals to liberate natural gas. The relatively recent increase in the volume of fracking has promised serious concerns that it pollutes groundwater and can trigger earthquakes. Does the process of extracting natural gas this way deserve more scrutiny? Should it continue at all? What are your recommendations? Anybody could take that?
Yes.
The answer to the first question, it deserves more scrutiny. I don't understand the exemption from the Safe Drinking Water Act. It makes no legal sense to me. It appears to be I'm a lawyer, and I understand that there was apparently political influence, but that leads to a greater question. One of the issues that we can face in this country is that we don't pay a true price for our energy choices. You know, these subsidies, and trust me, that is a colossal subsidy. When we allow that type of extraction to take place, there are hidden subsidies. You know, this is an economic subsidy because it has cost effects on our healthcare. It will have cost effects on cleanup. It will impact people's property values, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. And when we talk about the cost of renewables being higher, it's because we're the cheapest price, and our policies set the price cheap because we externalize future harm on future generations. And that's one of the breakdowns in the way we do energy policy.